Whether you're building a house or a skyscraper or just a small building in your backyard that sits on some kind of foundation, I think we can all agree that foundations are very important. If you don't have a good foundation, then down the road a little ways, you're going to run into some major problems. And none of us like to deal with foundational problems, whether it's our house or whatever the case. But you know, when it comes to human nature, we just never learn, because the one thing about human nature that I've learned that has never changed since the creation till now is humans are that they have that drive for self-gratification in the moment. We live in the moment. We like things to happen now. We want things to happen in that direct minute. We want fast food. We want something to happen quick. As something that we really want. We want to hurry up and get it now. That's just human nature. That's, you know, part of the fallen nature of man. But you know, when it comes to turkey hunting, it really isn't much different. Turkey hunters like that self-gratification of in the moment, right now. We want it right now. We want to kill that turkey right now. We want to kill him right off the roost. We want to kill him today. We don't want to kill him tomorrow. We want to kill him today. We want to call him in now. I mean, it's just like in the moment right there at that moment. But there are certain turkeys that I've run into over the years where, honestly, it's almost like building. You have to build a foundation in order to kill them gobblers. We have to understand, if we're going to become a really good turkey hunter, sometimes you got to just start from scratch and you got to build up a foundation. So we're going to be talking about that just for the next few minutes. The first thing I want to talk about is the volume of your calling. You know, a lot of times we get out there and, you know, we're not hearing nothing. We're walking maybe down a logging road, or we're walking from point to point. Maybe it's up in the middle of the day, or, you know, maybe it's up in the evening where it's, and we've got frustrated because the turkeys ain't gobbling and all that, you know, things ain't working like we want them to work. So sometimes we get out there and we'll throw a mouth call in, or we'll get our glass call out, or we'll get our slate call out, or we'll get our tube call out, or whatever, and we'll just blow the woods down with calling from the very first note. But really, I think it's best if you work up and you build, like you just build on a foundation of calling. In other words, if I'm walking down this field and I stop and I'm thinking, well, I'm going to see, maybe I'm just going to call right here and see if I can get one to gobble. I'm not going to just throw this mouth call in and just start, rah, 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 you know, as loud as I can. You want to slow build it. So in other words, you want to start off soft, then you want to build up. You want to start low, then you want to go high. Okay? You want to become that hen that's just moved in to that field up there, or in the edge of that timber, wherever you're at, maybe on that logging road, and she's just starting to soft call, just, you know, because that's what they do in nature. You don't hear hens get out here, get in a field, and just right from the bat, just, you know, they don't do that. Now, she might get loud if she's getting aggressive with another hen, or, you know, if she's you know, showing her dominance, but she ain't going to get out there and just blow the woods down with her calling. It's going to be soft. She's just moved in the area. That's what you want to do. But especially if you hunt on high pressure areas or public land, you will hear this year after year after year. Somebody will come in close to you, and the very first note they hit on their box call or the mouth call or whatever, they'll just absolutely blow the woods down. That's not natural. But the reason we do that is because we want that self-gratification. We want that turkey to gobble now. We want him to get fired up now. We want it right now. But you got to build a foundation. Okay, so we're going to build it. So here's how you start building that foundation of calling. I'm going to get to where I'm going to call. I'm going to stop. Just some clucks, 2, 3, 4 note yelps, just soft. Be that hen that's just walked in there. And a lot of times, if there's a gobbler real close, he'll gobble because he hears that. But if there is a gobbler that's close and you just start blowing the woods down with calling, you could push him off. Okay, you could push that gobbler off and you never know he's there. And that's happened many, many, many times without turkey hunters ever knowing it. They get too loud from the start. But once you start building low, you can go as high as you want, and you know, and it becomes more natural, because hens do get louder like I said, if they're displaying their dominance, if they're getting an argument with another hen out there, but they never start out loud. They start out soft and they start building. That's what you have to do as a turkey hunter. That's what's more real and that's what's more natural. So when it comes to your calling and when you're trying to strike gobblers up in the middle of the day or up in the mid-morning or in the evening or whenever, but especially in that mid-morning time from that, you know, from like 9 o'clock on till about 12, you don't want to get super loud at first. Get in there, be that hen that's just moved in that area, build that foundation. Again, think of it in your head this year when you're out turkey hunting. All right, I've stopped here. Let's lay the foundation. Lay her down. Here we go. And if you don't respond to the soft calling, go a little bit louder. Not all the way loud, but just go a little bit more. If you don't respond to that, then lay the third layer. Go a little bit louder. And then so on. That's going to help you a lot more locate more turkeys because it sounds more real when you're building that foundation to your call. Another time you have to build a foundation is when you're dealing with strut zone gobblers. Now when we talk about a strut zone, you've heard me talk about it in the past, and you've seen me shoot strut zone gobblers and, on other videos, and you've heard me break down about strut zones, or I call them common grounds. And this is where a gobbler is flying down off the roost, and if he's not with a bunch of hens, he goes to a certain area and he struts and he gobbles and he waits for the hens to come to him. Sort of like his sanctuary. All right, so when you find a gobbler that has a strut zone like that, that is a tremendous place to go set up, especially when turkeys are not being vocal and not gobbling, high pressure. If you can just go in there and set up, even if they're not gobbling close by there, a lot of times you can sit there and wait for them to come right back in later that morning and kill a silent gobbler just like that. But many times these gobblers are very vocal, and they're vocal because they're trying to get them hens to come into that common ground or that strut zone. Or once you find a turkey that is doing that, and this is where you find that common, it's common for them to gobble here like 75, 80 yards in front of you. You think, man, he's coming in, and then all of a sudden, the next time you hear him, he's 100 yards back, 150 yards down, down the point or across the field or whatever, and you go, man, he's going away. What happened? And then all of a sudden you start calling, here he comes back again, and he gets almost close to you, and then the next time you hear him, he's way back over there. He's going back and forth. All right, that's a very common trait of a strut zone gobbler. Now when it comes to strut zone gobblers, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes you got to lay a foundation to kill that turkey. You just can't run in there. You can't just crawl up in there just because you think you're good at crawling. Sometimes you can, a lot of times you can't. It just depends on how big or small that strut zone is. Let me give you a good example. All right, last week I was in Alabama hunting. I only had 3 days to hunt. But one morning there, the other morning, I had this gobbler, and common strut ground gobbler. He flew down, and I got him, coming to me. He got about 80 yards. Couldn't see him because it was timber and it was kind of thick and foliage and stuff. Couldn't see him, but he got, 75, 80 yards to me. And I thought, man, he's coming in. All right, we're going to finally get one. And he comes in, he's gobbling good, but then he starts going back about 40, 50 yards, and he's going right over the lip. He was going right over the lip of this hill, going under the hill gobbling. Then he come right back up real quick. Go under the hill, then he come right back up. And he stayed within a 40, 50 yard area. He wasn't moving very far. All right. Well, it's hard to kill a turkey like that. That's in a very small strut zone because he's not leaving far enough away for me to do some serious maneuvering and crawling and getting up in there before he heads back, because you don't want him to see you. But if you can find a turkey, and a lot of times you will find this, where he'll gobble up here, 75, 80 yards from you, but then the next time you hear him, he's 100, and I have heard him like 150 yards away from you, way down on a point, around the bend of a field. He's going way around there gobbling, and he comes back. The larger that strut zone is, the better off you are as far as moving and getting set up a little bit closer. But if they're in that small strut zone, like this one was, it takes really patience to get super close, because every time he comes up, you got to be still, but then he's not going very far away from you, so you're only having to crawl 4 or 5 yards at a time and set back up 4 or 5 yards every time he goes over the hill. So it takes a lot of patience to do this. Well, I just didn't have time. Had I had a couple more days, I only had 3 days to hunt. Had I had maybe 2 more days to hunt, I would have probably killed that turkey. Just by laying that foundation and knowing what this turkey was doing, I could have got in there probably maybe a couple days later and got really tight, you know, to him and wound up probably killing that turkey. But time ran out. I only had a 3-day license, couldn't stay very long, but I didn't kill the turkey. But that is a very common trait of a strut zone gobbler that you've got to lay a foundation with. So what do? You just keep putting a little bit of pressure, but not much, and you're just being patient. Now, sometimes you got to just leave that gobbler. When he's in that strut zone, you got to leave him. Now, say like here, we have to quit at 12 o'clock the first few weeks of season. So when it comes 12 o'clock, you got to be out of the woods. Well, there's many times when I've had to walk away from a gobbler that's in a strut zone because legally time ran out. All right, so everybody don't have the same rules when it comes to turkey hunting in their state. So when you find a gobbler that you just, you know, it's hard for you to really push in, don't go for the self-gratification of crawling up there and trying to push it and maybe spooking the gobbler. You will far be better off by just taking it slow than you are trying to force something to happen. It's just like when you were shooting. Most times when people miss turkeys, it's because they force a shot. They force it. Well, that's like with, you know, anything in life. Anything you're trying to force, it usually don't work out. Same thing applies here. Instead of pushing yourself to get into that position where you want to kill him right now, think, I'm going to back off. I'll come back tomorrow. He's going to be probably doing the same thing, and I'm going to get tighter in here, and I'll kill him tomorrow, or I'll kill him this weekend, or I'll kill him a couple days from now, or whatever the case. Lots of times, that's what's helped me kill them hard strut zone gobblers, is because I didn't get into this gratification thing. I want to kill them today. I'd like to, but you know, I didn't. But I'm going to work just like I did with old Sly many years ago. I'm just going to work at it, and sooner or later, the odds are going to be in my favor. But if I force it, he's going to win every time. Hunt smart, lay that foundation, and you're going to be a lot better off killing these hard gobblers. I promise you, it's going to work for you a lot better. So just remember that this turkey season, and I'm sure you'll be the one packing that big old gobbler out across your shoulder. And make sure to subscribe to our channel. Just hit that subscribe button down in the corner. I really appreciate it. Also, check out all of our sponsors in the links below. Spring Fever Custom Calls, where you can get my signature series of turkey calls from the old Gobbler Getter when they're in stock. The little Sly, the old Sly, the Slate call, all of the signature calls there, and all the other great calls from Spring Fever Custom Calls. Check them out in the links below. Check out Stoker Shotguns. Check out Tidewe, where you can get blinds, boots, a lot of great hunting equipment. If you ain't been going over to Tidewe, you're really missing out. Just make sure to use the promo code DALE to even get a better discount on all your purchases. And check out Kona Scopes, Game Cuffs, and our brand new sponsor, Obsession Bows. Check them out, because I'll tell you what, I'm really impressed with my bow, and I've been out shooting it and trying to get used to it. I'm really impressed with it. So check them out at Obsession Bows. We really appreciate all of those that help us. And make sure to join me on Patreon, where you can become a $5 a month supporter to Dell Outdoors and help us out, just to help us bring you better content and all that. So follow me on social media. Hey, just appreciate everybody, and keep following me, and I'll see you in the next video.